Herschel.
It's
Seemed
recording.
like Herschel's mom maybe was some relation to Uncle Heber.
Yeah, she is on Uncle Heber's side.
Whatever. Anyway, he used to come stay a week or two in the summer, and so Uncle Heber had us picking dry peas up there in the field. And Herschel, oh, I'm not going to be able to pick anymore. My foot's hurting, you know. And Uncle Heber said, Herschel, you're limping on the wrong foot.
Shame that, huh?
Irene's boy.
Uh,
Ain't Irene's boy? His
That her
last name was
name?
the Best. She married a Best, lived in Woodville.
Do you remember what, and her son, the other one, what was his name from Woodville? Bass, what was his name? Had an airplane, crashed airplane.
Yeah.
Buddy Best. Buddy Best.
Buddy Best.
And he crashed that plane at top of a big tree on the Bass property there. That's where he landed that thing off and on in that field going to Woodland. They lived there in the old Bass place right on the right, left. But he had Henry Crosby with him. Henry Crosby probably
Big.
walked 350, 400 pounds all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, he's wide as that window there.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have enough pump to get it over that
That
road.
was his arms and feet, not his belly.
Oh, okay.
To get it, and they landed that thing right in the big top of that big old tree, big old oak or pecan tree.
Wow.
And it didn't really hurt either one of them, didn't hurt the plane very much.
Really?
Wow.
They climbed out of it and got down. And I used to know the man's name because it was a funny story. I forget. The guy that he hired to get that plane out of that tree.
Mm.
And the guy decided the best way was to cut the tree down. Or cut it down, and he would tie ropes and pulleys to it and hold it and let it down.
Wow.
But whoever was telling me about that, said that guy cut that tree and he had them pulleys lined up and he's cutting and that thing was coming down, everything was looking good, and about 15, 20 foot off the ground, that tree just snapped and twist like they'll do. It just turned and come right down on top of that plane.
Dang.
That
Wow.
was the end of the plane.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
Tell us about your daddy and how he used to plow.
Oh, yeah, he was plowing and he stopped.
According to Kenneth,
Tell the story.
he always had a book hid up in
In his
a
back
stump.
pocket.
In a stump.
Oh,
Or in a hollow tree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cut one of them trees.
he'd go down to the end of the row and then read a while
Yeah.
and then go back.
Yeah.
But also, he looked up, Grandpa said something about,
He says, son, you're gonna have to, let's go, get it going. Dad, I saw a deal. that said-
sign. It was a sign up in the
It was-
clouds.
Yeah, I know God said it. GP, go preach. He said, hell no, son, that means go plow.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, if you say that, he said, I could plow 7, 8 rows to Wallace's too. Every time we went up the field, I knew. He said, Wallace had a book hid under every stump and every hollow tree. Everywhere, it didn't matter where we got, there was a book sitting somewhere.
wow.
Wow.
And he said, yeah, I'd plow and look around. Wallace ain't nowhere around me. Muse still standing down there with his ears down, about half asleep. I'd make
No.
another round. I'd go down there. He said, I'd find Wallace reading back against the tree.
He was designing something.
Huh?
He was designing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Inventing. Hey, y'all may not know anything about this, but when Aunt Ruby and Uncle Heber lived up in the field before they built this house, they had a, I don't know what you call it, a mosquito net or something over their bed. Did y'all ever hear anything about that? I never will forget. That was I don't know if I saw that. Anybody else had one or not anywhere, I can't recall. But I guess it kept the mosquitoes off of you at night, but
Well,
Yeah, we had one when me and Roger was
did you?
years ago. We called it a mosquito bar.
I
That's what
think
they called
I
it.
believe that you're right, I believe
And you
it.
got them at GI Surplus.
Wow.
And you run a string across, and then you hung it up, and it was
Yeah.
draped over the bed to keep the mosquito.
I remember them having
Wow.
that.
It wouldn't
They
keep
never
Roger
did.
out, but it'd keep a mosquito out.
Yeah.
their bedroom on the hall where, you know, they slept, where
Yeah.
the kitchen and the living room,
Mm-hmm.
they'd open them windows, but there wasn't no screens on them windows. There was
Yeah.
screens on the other window, the other bedroom, but they were gonna keep, didn't have no screens over them.
Hmm.
When you open them, it was just, oh,
And that wind would go right through them and then the windows on the back wall. It was just pull it
well, it's
through.
just the way the house was designed.
Tell them about the electric bill, Grandma. Aunt Ruby got.
That was funny. Oh. We did. Every now and then decided to buy a couple of fans, big box fans, stand up. From Sears and Roebuck. No, it wasn't that. And they bought them one and me one. And we got those box fans, and they set one out on the porch when they set in the evening. We used to, before that, you know how you kept mosquitoes off of you sitting out on the porch? Y'all remember, anybody?
I do. Cow chips and corn cobs in a
I'd go
bucket of
gather up
sand.
corn cobs and cow chips, and you built a fire in a bucket. And they set them buckets on the porch.
And we even had it in the house.
Now, that kept the mosquitoes off of you.
Now that cow chip is poop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dried
dried.
poop. Dried poop.
You could
Get
smoke
the
it
dry.
too. That's what's wrong with
Yeah,
me.
we put that wet stuff under our sandcastles for Norman to kick.
Yeah,
Oh,
but we had
Hey,
them.
Ruby had it. Did I tell you about that? Hey, Ruby had us to do that. Norman was always kicking mine and Marydale's little sandcastles. That's when they lived up in the field. And she said, go down there and get your shovel and get some of that wet cow poop and build your sandcastle over it, and I'll send him down to the barn and he'll have to kick your sandcastle. And sure enough, here he come, and Aunt Ruby was on the porch watching. He walked up. Well, you little, I don't know what he called us. Probably,
Farts.
yeah. And Marydale said, Norman, you better not kick her sandcastle and tell Mama on you. Oh, tell me. Phew, boy, that stuff run up his leg, and we took off running, and he was chasing us, and Aunt Ruby hollered and told him, said, leave them boys alone. I told him to do that.
well, one time, Grandma, we were scared. They had old gooses there, and they would bite you, chase you, and bite you. Grandma said, "Oh, they're nothing but a bunch of pets. They don't bite you." And she grabbed our hands, and off we went out there. And she bent over to pet one, bit her in the stomach. She yum yum yum. Ducked that or goose that evening.
Wow.
Grandma, they won't bite you.
How
Wow.
about the,
I'm gonna tell one on firecracker.
wait, how about the light bill?
Let him finish the light bill.
The fan, anyway, we brought the fan and had them out. We hadn't had them long. And I'm sure that we got a high increase in electric rates or something, because fan don't pull much use at all. But we'd had them fans for a month or so, whatever it was, and mail come. At that time, we used to get the mail down there, but by then they'd moved it up here by the house, mailboxes. So Aunt Ruby walked out and got the mail, and she come back, and she was looking at that light bill, and she told Uncle Heber, she said, we're going to get rid of them fans, Heber. Said, we can't afford them, she said. Our light bill's almost $6 this month.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Wow.
couldn't afford nothing like that. I mean, that was too big of a luxury, you know.
Wow.
boy, they'd turn over in their grave and knew what I'd pay it now for
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you know. So, but we kept the fans because they come in handy. Used to, the dry peas, we put them up on the top of the barn to dry 'em. My job was to get up there at least once a day, usually when I come in from school or something, and turn those bags, keep turning those bags over so you could dry them good. And then they'd stay up there. If it got a rain, you had to get up and get them down and then put them back. But if it didn't rain, you left them up 4 or 5 days. Then you get them down and you take an axe handle and you beat them peas with that axe handle in the bag.
Like
Beat
a
'em.
gunny sack?
So toe sacks. And you busting the hull off the peas.
All out of,
Yeah, off of them. This was gonna be, this what we, yeah, because that's what we use for seed the next year to plant our crops again. But once you beat them, then you had to wait and make sure it was a good windy day. And you got out there and you poured them out, held them up, had a big foot tub. You held them up and that wind blowed the hulls away from the peas.
Blew the whole
But
out
you
of
had
it.
to do that. Each bag, you'd have to do it 5 or 6 times, maybe more, according to how much wind. And then you'd reload the bag, and then you'd hold it up again, and you reload the bag until there wasn't no. But
we
after
used
we
to get
got
up on the barn and had a you'd have more airspace for it to drift.
but after we got the fan, that didn't even come a chore. We just plug in
We
fan and
didn't
get
have
out there.
electricity. Y'all had electricity.
Well, we did. We didn't when I first come here. But after we got the fans, then you just plug in fans in and do them and shoot you. Clean them one pass, usually, sometimes 2, but usually
Wow.
1. And
You talk about costing all that electricity, $6, made me think of Grandpa Odom down there by Mr. Tanton's. That's the first time I could guess he had electricity. And they'd have family gatherings every now and then. Some of his kids, grandkids, they'd come in out of Port Arthur, Beaumont. I'd always go over and spend the night just to be involved with them. But Grandpa, he would be walking behind them, turning. All the lights had a string running over, you know, and didn't have a switch on the wall. I guess
Full string.
Yeah. And he said, every time y'all turn one of them lights on, it cost me a nickel. I'll never will forget. It cost him a nickel every time you turn a light. And it was probably a 15-watt light bulb in there.
Yeah.
My grandpa Stevenson, they'd be sitting in there talking, and it'd get so dark you couldn't see the person across the street, across the way. And my grandma would say, "Van, you think it's time to turn the light on?"
Uncle Van.
in other words, they made it useful. They didn't use it till they needed it.
That's right.
Right.
And there was one bulb hanging down from a wire.
Yeah. That was at Grandma's house.
You know, you talking about that. I'd worked at the plant, had a girl's engineer. She was. And I got talking family with her. She was one of the company engineers, and we were talking one day, and I asked her. I said, "Well, you like living here in the United States?" And I said, "What do you see the big difference here, living here than back home in China?" She said, "James, one of the biggest things I noticed about the difference between Chinese people and American people is," she says, "y'all tend to spend a lot of money. American people do." I said, "Well, we do spend some money. We try to live comfortable." She said, "In China, we're taught to save money. You don't spend it unless you have to." And she told me, she said, "My husband's an engineer at Mobil, and she was an engineer at BASF." She said, "We have one car between us. We have 2 kids." And she said, "We drop the kids off at school. Then I take and drop my husband off at work, then I come to work. We have one car.
Wow.
She said, I know some Americans have 2, 3, 4 cars. I don't understand that. And she said, now we live in a nice house here in Beaumont. We do have a nice house. But she said, we don't waste any electricity or energy. She said, when we get home at night, she said, whatever room we're in, that's the only room we burn light in. And she said, we all gather in one room, me and my husband and my children. And if I have work to do from work, my husband has work he's got to do. Children got homework, we all do it in that one room with the light on. And then we get through, we go to bed, turn the light out.
Wow.
Wow.
So she said, we don't spend extra money for extra things that you don't need. And she said, that's the biggest thing I noticed between Chinese and American people, how much money y'all just spend on nothing, basically.
I wonder how much fun they have.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess.
There you go.
That's
go
right.
If I'm not being new.
We happened to drive by and saw Alvina walking out of her house. We was going back in there.
Oh.
So we pulled in and spoke to her. But she and John was leaving to go somewhere. That's so sad. Their son and
Oh, daughter.
granddaughter, right?
Yeah.
Son and granddaughter both were
Yeah.
killed in that motorcycle. Where was it at? In Beaumont?
Silsby,
No,
wasn't it?
between Silsby and Coots.
Coots.
Between Silsby and Coots.
Is that that road that goes through?
327.
Yeah, it goes there by Walmart, by McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By
The
church.
guys in front of him, they seen the car coming in the wrong lane and they dodged.
Mm.
They thought he would have time, him and the other guy, but they didn't see it in time to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard how the one grandson
boy?
boy doing. If he's doing okay, not okay. Last I heard, he was in the hospital in Houston.
No, he's fine.
Just one motorcycle wreck recently?